Welcome to the Mindset for Runners podcast, helping you to access and unlock your true potential as an athlete. Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to this episode of the podcast, Mental Tools and Mindsets to help you handle the hard stuff. I've got a great episode for you today. It's all come from a question from a Mindset for Runners course. And one of the members of that who, basically asked, how do we deal with the things that get hard, and when we're in the darkest moments, and when the stuff is hitting the fan, and when it's getting gritty and hard, what do we do? Where do we go with our mind? And that's where this episode was born out of. So I've drawn on a lot of my favorite resources for this, as you'll hear in the podcast. The Brave Athlete is one of the main ones, but also lots of other sports psychology books and courses and people. You'll hear quotes from people you might have heard from before. But what I've tried to do in this episode is to bring all the stuff together. There's so much stuff out there around, how to suffer and how to suck it up and get on with it and all that kind of mindset. I'd like to give you a different perspective in this episode to help you understand that resilience is more important than stoicism and toughness, if you like. And when you can start to bend with things that are happening as you're racing and start to adapt and overcome these things, you will feel more, empowered and more capable than just trying to tough something out. There's always a place for toughing it out. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in this episode, you're going to learn a whole bunch of other things that you can lean on next time you're doing whatever you're doing, your next race or your next session, or trying to get out of bed to get out, and do your session when it's cold, or you're in the throes of that really, I just think, is that the actual word, you're in the throes of that really tough place, that dark place in the race, and you're looking for something to lean on to get you back in the game. So I hope you enjoy this podcast. If you want to join our community, it's really easy. Just go to robmasonruns.com.au and you can join our community. It's $8 a month and you get to be in the amazing presence of such wonderful community, like-minded runners, like-minded athletes who are looking to improve their mindset. There's a whole lot new stuff coming out in that community in the coming weeks and months. So I'd love to have you in there. So just go to robmasonruns.com.au and above all, enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. The question from Jenny on our Q&A call last week, which was another fantastic call in the community, was about the mindset of when you're in the gritty part of the race, like when you are absolutely spent, when you're tired, when you want to stop, but you don't want to stop. You just want to have a big cry and you just want to collapse in a heap and get an ice cream and go home and put a blanket on and watch Netflix. What do you do? What's the mindset when you're in that place that Courtney DeWalter calls the pain cave? The people have got so many. When I first started Ultra, it was the dark room. And that was what they used to call it. You go into this dark room and then what do you do in that dark room? And that's what the question's all about. So let's get into all the stuff that I've put together to answer this question, hoping that one thing I say will land with you, and that's all you need to help you get through it. So let's paint the picture. Maybe you want to go to a race where you've done in the past, or you can create one from the future. But I'm sure you've been there. That place where you can't go on and you hurt and your mind is in the depths of despair and you think you're done. How do you keep going? So for 24-hour runners, it's hour 17, 18, 19. You can't yet imagine the finishing line because you've still got 6 or 7 hours to go. But you are right in the middle of the pain and the hurt, and you don't think you can continue. What are you going to do then? For 100-mile runners, it might be around that 120K mark as well. It's dark, it's 3 a.m., and you're questioning all of the reasons that you're there. Or you might be a 5K runner and you're hitting that 3.5 to 4 kilometer point, and you are in so much pain, and you're wondering, how am I going to get through this? So let's draw on these experts to help create this answer. Let's start with Leslie Patterson. Okay, I'm going to start with Leslie because in her book, and Simon Patterson's, in their book, The Brave Athlete, they really unpack the 3 models of the brain, three stages of the brain. And they call the bottom part of your brain, so the limbic system, the chimp brain. And they say that the chimp takes over your brain. Now, in sports psychology, they call it an amygdala hijack. This is associated with choking. It's also associated with losing your cognitive ability to think and going into your emotional state, having a tantrum, thinking you can't do it, thinking everyone else is better than you. Why did I bother coming here? I'm not good enough. I suck. I can't do this. That's your chimp throwing a tantrum. So what happens is, basically there's another model of the brain where they say you flip your lid. So your lid is your thinking cap and it's gone because you're being completely controlled by your chimp. So what do you do when you're in that time where you're talking yourself out of it, you can't do it? And Leslie Patterson has a few things. I'm going to share a couple of these concepts with you so you can take this away. So the first thing is, you are not your chimp, right? That's a part of your brain that's the deepest, oldest part of you that's only concerned about your survival. And right now, your survival is on the line because it thinks you're suffering, you're vulnerable, and you're in a dangerous position. It's perceiving a threat. And so it's going to take you offline any way it can, by telling you can't do it, telling you the race is over, completely undermining you and saying that you're not good enough and all these things. And trying to get you to stop, because stopping is the only way back to safety for your chimp. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a raspy throat, so I'm going to be having my tea. Right. So what Leslie Patterson says is, you are not your chimp. And to get your executive functioning and your thinking cap back on. Now, there's a few ways that she teaches this. One of my favorite ways that she teaches this is through talking to yourself in the third person. Now, when you talk to yourself in the third person, you get out of Olympic system. Sorry, third person is you say your name or you say they or so it's, instead of saying, oh, I'm really hurting or, I can't do this, you start, that's I is the first person. You start talking to yourself in the third person, which is for me, Rob or Meso, my nickname Meso. Meso, you're hurting, right? Meso, this sucks. Right now, instantly you've detached from your chimp. So I'm not hurting anymore. Meso's hurting. Now, think about this from a philosophical perspective. Where are you in this conversation? Are you standing outside yourself, looking at yourself, or is there another part of your psyche that's come online? And this is why this is so powerful. This is why all the self-talk research has said, stop talking to yourself in the first person. Talk to yourself in the third person, like you've got a coach or a cheerleader or your best mate who's got your back here. As in, is in supporting you, right? So that's why she says, start to talk yourself in the third person, and that'll bring your prefrontal cortex back online, and you can start to problem solve, right? So say what's going on in the third person. Then I'm going to segue right here into Emma Murray's work, because name it to tame it is one of my favorite emotional regulation strategies. Naming it is, I feel tired. I feel angry. I feel fed up. I feel sore. I feel exhausted, and own it. Notice that's in the I, because that's how you associate with the pain. So Emma Murray wants you to name it, because once you name it, then you can tame it. And you tame it by stepping into your cognitive function and start to say, yes, and I've been here before and I'll get through this. Yes, and I know this will pass. Yes, this hurts and I'm doing it anyway. Right? So there's a yes acknowledgement and this anyway. It doesn't stop with the I feel X, Y, Z. Right. That's a sidebar. Back to Leslie Patterson. So getting out of your limbic brain, your chimp brain, and back into your professor brain, the cognitive function, planning, thinking mind, which is going to help you solve this problem. Right. Let's go to Matt Fitzgerald to take over this. Matt Fitzgerald, author of How Bad Do You Want It? Also got a great podcast, 80-20, I believe, training, something like that. Great coach, great blend of science and experience in sport and coaching. So Matt Fitzgerald's teaching is all around perception of effort, right? This is derived from Professor Samuel Macora, University of Bologna, his psychobiological model of sports performance. So Matt Fitzgerald took that to the nth degree and says, your body will give up. Correction, your brain will give up before your body. So what he's saying is the brain's trying to take you offline before you get damaged. So your perception of effort is saying, I'm in pain, I need to stop. But it's not true. You can change your perception of effort. Pain is a signal, not a reason to stop. Pain is a signal. Now, here's the caveat. If you're going to injure yourself, stop, right? If you are injured, and this is going to be a long-term injury, you're going to cause yourself long-term damage, then yes, of course, stop. I'm not here, like, this is for you to decide, right? So pain, I'm talking about pain where your legs are burning, your heart's burning, your lungs are burning, your brain's given up, and you want to give in, that kind of pain. So Matt Fitzgerald says it's time to reappraise, as in give it a new meaning. Yes, it's painful, and I've been here before, my legs will come good. I need to change what I'm doing, and something will come better. I need to change my running gait, my pace, my nutrition. Maybe I need a new shirt. Maybe I need to change, I don't know, my cap, or have a drink of Coke or Red Bull or a coffee or something, and alter what I'm doing, because what I'm doing has taken me to this point, which is great, and now I need to change something else. So Matt Fitzgerald's comeback is all about changing your perception of the pain instead of trying to push through it. Right. And that's something that your cognitive function, your prefrontal cortex, can do that your chimp brain can't. Your chimp brain is like a 4-year-old, and it's just going to chuck a tantrum. Whereas your executive function says, well, hang on a second. Am I really going to die here? No, I'm in pain. Of course I'm in pain. I'm in the 20th hour of an ultra marathon. Of course it's painful. I've been here before. I've done the training. I'm going to get through it. I've just got to know that I can get out of this dark room. Right. So with Matt Fitzgerald's wisdom there, let's go back to Leslie Patterson for her second strategy, alter ego. You've heard me talk about this before. I really think it's got more merit than we give it. So Beyonce was one of the scaredest, shyest, fearful performers, and she created Sasha Fierce, which is her alter ego, to help her access a different part of her psychology, her bravery, her courage, or whatever you want to call it, to be able to perform. So in the early days of Beyonce, she wasn't performing as herself. She was performing as Sasha Fierce. She gave her outfits and a psychology and a character, and she built that to allow her to step onto that stage. She wasn't herself on that stage. She was performing as Sasha Fierce. And she said, as I went through the years, I started to embody all those parts of myself that I was disowning, and I became Beyonce on the stage instead of Sasha Fierce. Leslie Patterson does the same thing. So Leslie Patterson is a multiple world champion Xterra triathlon. Her alter ego, which gets out of her chimp brain and helps her access more parts of herself, her alter ego is called Paddy McGinty. Paddy McGinty, she's Scottish. Paddy McGinty is a rough Irish boxer, right? She's modeled Paddy McGinty on MMA fighter Conor McGregor, right? So she steps into Paddy McGinty when she is actually competing. And she says, the other athletes are scared of me when they look at me, because she completely embodies Paddy McGinty. Now, given her, she's actually an actor herself. She's been to acting school and she knows how to. But so she steps in. She's actually got outfit that she wears for, like her alter ego. She's got a stance that she takes on as Paddy McGinty. She's got a look, so a facial expression, game face, if you like, and it's a stare. And she says she'll stare at other competitors, and they'll come up to her later on and think she's a complete bitch and hates everybody. And she's like, that's my racing mentality. So Kobe Bryant had Mamba mentality, right? Same thing. The Black Mamba was Kobe's way of accessing these higher states. Pardon me, that's a sip of my tea. So Paddy McGinty, she said, pretty much has two main traits that she drew on. He doesn't care what other people think of him. So Leslie Patterson deeply cared what others thought and was always scanning to see if she was being approved of. And she knew she had to overcome this somehow. How did she do it? She created Paddy McGinty. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what people think of him. He snarls at people and growls at them when they look at him. Second thing he always does is he always gets up when he gets knocked down. And that's exactly what she needed more of, she said, in her racing. I hope it's starting to land with you. So you can create your own inner character. Think about the states that you want, that maybe you think you don't have or you want to build more of, and build your character around those states, just like all these people I've mentioned have done. All right, let's go to the amazing Grant Giles. If you haven't listened to Giles' interview on this podcast, on my podcast, go to it. It's amazing. There's so much gold in it. I listen to it all the time because of all the stuff he shares so briefly that it is really gold. But one of the things I'm going to share with you is about pain and how he helps his athletes overcome pain. He says, we've been taught our whole athletic lives to disassociate from pain. If you've ever heard Yanis Kouros talk about pain, he used to float above himself. That's called dissociation, leaving your body. He would float above himself, looking down on himself, running from behind, right? That's how he worked through it. You can take that strategy. Gilesy is telling us to do the opposite. Now, what he means is when the pain comes, don't run away from it. Go into the pain. Get curious about the pain. Find out exactly where it is in your body. Where is it hurting? Give it an intensity out of 10. Give it a shape. Give it a color. Give it a feeling. Like, is it a stabbing pain? Is it a general pain? Is it a nausea? Or is it, give it all these attributes and get to know the pain. I've been practicing this since Gilesy showed it to us on the podcast. I'm going to tell you, something happens to that pain. Once it's seen, it diminishes somehow. Not to zero, but it lessens. It's like it's a signal that needs to be acknowledged. And when we dissociate, we go, it's not there, it's not happening, I don't feel it, or, whatever, I can get past this, or it's not there, I can overcome it. But when you go into it, you're like, where is exactly that pain? Oh, it's in my chest. Actually, it just moved down my stomach. And it wants to be seen and acknowledged as a signal that it's trying to tell you something to stop. So take Giles' advice next time. And when you're on the hammer, when you're doing a 5K tempo, or when you're doing your next interval session, or when you're in hour 21 of your miler, go into the pain and really get curious about it. Thanks, Gilesy, for that amazing insight. Right, let's go to Addie Bracey. Actually builds on this. She says, pain is data, right? It's not the enemy. And she advises us to have pre-loaded self-talk statements for the pain, such as, this is where it matters. This is what I came for, right? This is building me into a better athlete. This is what I trained for. So, but what Addie Bracey's message is, don't resist the discomfort, make space for it, right? Similar to Gilesy, but her whole thing is, it's not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to teach you something, and so you can learn skillfully to get through it. There's a great story in, I'm pretty sure it was, Dean Canaz's book, Ultramarathon Man. His coach once said to him, back in, I think, high school days, Kano loved running. And I think he finished, please me, I'm butchering this, but the paraphrasing is, he finished like an 800-meter effort, which is brutal, right? And his coach said, how was that? And Kano said, that was amazing. I feel on top of the world. And his coach threw his hat to the ground and kicked the dirt and said, it's not supposed to feel good. But if you take on that coach's mindset of, and I remember you and Osborne saying this to me, and I still remember it, probably 10 years ago, he said, you're not doing this for entertainment, right? And I was like, that's it. So stop thinking that it's supposed to feel great. Stop imagining that it's going to feel great all the time. You might have a magic day. And if you expect some kind of pain, you'll be ready for it. You'll be saying, yep, I knew you were coming and I'm ready for you. Instead of thinking, no one told me it was going to hurt. I thought ultramarathons were all like I see on Instagram. All right, let's keep on going. Let's go back to Matt Fitzgerald again. One of Matt's ways of dealing with pain is when we teach focus in sports psychology, we think about the 4 quadrants, right? External, internal, broad, narrow, right? So the 4 quadrants, external broad, external narrow, internal broad, internal narrow. So when we're trying to cruise and chill out, we're going like external broad. We're thinking about the mountains or the trees or the clouds or the blue sky or the person over there, the tree over there, the car over there. However, when we're in pain, we want to shrink our world temporarily. We want to go internal narrow. Where is the pain? What am I feeling right now? How do I focus on it, go towards it? Why do I want to do this? We want to shrink our world back to, what's my next move here? What's my next step here? What's the next thing I need to do? What's the next checkpoint? What's the next mile? What's the next kilometer? What's the next minute? Can I get to the next tree? You've all heard this stuff said in ultra running circles, but we're taking ourselves back to chunking it right down to the very next step. When we go big picture, broad, we're starting with seeing a huger perspective, right? And what we don't want to do, that can be overwhelming, especially for our chimp who's like, it's hurting. Now you're telling me I've still got 10 hours to go. No, chimp. All we're going to do is go to the next tree. We're just going to get to the next checkpoint. We're just going to get to the next kilometer. I hope this is making sense. So when you go internal on the pain, this self-talk that aligns with internal is counting steps, right? This is one of my favorite strategies. So simple. Counting footsteps, 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10. Paula Radcliffe highlighted how important that was. So again, don't go broad when you're hurting. When you're hurting and you go broad, it makes it worse. I'm hurting and I've still got 5 hours to go. I'm hurting and I've still got to smash this out for another 1.5 kilometers of my 5K. And because the chimp goes, can't maintain it, perception of effort is too high. Rate of perceived exertion, same thing, is too high. We're going down. I'm taking you offline. We're walking it in. Hope that makes sense. All right. I know I'm banging on a lot. Hope something's landed with you so far. Right. Next, we're going to Michael Gervais. So Michael Gervais, one of his key messages is to take it back to first principles or values. So when Michael Gervais is talking about this kind of stuff, he talks about being on purpose, right? So when you're hurting, he says, be present, right? Now that's another way of saying go internal, focus on the pain, go into the pain, don't go away from it, go towards it, be present, feel it in its entirety, feel exactly where it is, what it feels like, give it emotion, give it a name, all that kind of stuff. Now, Michael Gervais then goes to the way out of this is to get on purpose. Now, you might have heard this. Sometimes it's said about knowing your why, but that's one way out of it. So it's like when it's hurting, why am I doing this? You might be able to hear my dog in the background too. You might be able to get out of this pain by asking yourself why you're here. Why did I really come to this ultra? I know it's because I wanted to find what I'm really made of when it gets hard. And here's my chance, right? Or it might be back to purpose. And your purpose can be different to your why. So what I mean, your purpose might be to help others understand their own brilliance through me, right? It might be to show myself what I'm made of, or to let my light shine, or to inspire others through my running. Or it might be a dedication to someone else. I'm doing this race for my friend who could never do this, so I'm doing it for her. I'm doing this for all the people that aren't able to run, or all the people that don't have a voice. I'm giving them a voice through my running. Or it might be another reason that you're doing it, just escape me, but you can come up with your own purpose. But Michael Gervais is like, feel it 100%, then go to your purpose and why you are here and in this race. Okay, we are going great through this stuff. Name it to tame it. Yeah. Okay, reconnect with who you are. Back to Addie Bracey for this. Addie Bracey is big on emotional regulation. So once again, name it to tame it, same as Emma Murray. Then, who do I want to be? So what actions line up with the runner that I want to be, right? So this is where those self-talk statements, again, are powerful. I am someone who can endure more than anyone. I am someone who can X, Y, Z. I'm someone who does hard things. I've been here before. I know what I'm made of. I'll get through this. Right? One of my favorite sayings, this too shall pass, comes from, spirituality that is saying that everything in this world is transient, good and bad. What, the whole saying in ultra running is, if you're feeling bad, keep going and don't worry, it'll pass. If you're feeling good, keep going, don't worry, because they will pass as well. Now, there was one more thing that came into my brain as I was talking about Addie Bracey. Yes, Karen Rivich. So sports psychologist, big again on emotional regulation. The reason I bring up Karen Rivich is mental toughness. This is this word that's all out there. And it implies, there's an implication in the meaning that you have to be tough and stoic and rigid to get through these kind of things. I just powered on for 20 hours and finally got there, right? And I think the perception of mental toughness needs to change in our circles so that you can understand it's not about building up that rigid, stoic toughness. There's a place for that. Yes, absolutely. And there's also a place for cognitive reappraisal. So seeing a stimulus in a different way, pain in a different way, understanding how you can be flexible in your goals as you're on the trail or as you're in the race. Marie Connor comes to mind instantly. 2 weeks ago, she did the West Max Monster, 231 kilometers, 52 hours in the desert. At some point in that race, Marie realized she wasn't going to hit her goal time, right? That's enough to bring a lot of runners undone and have them DNF. I was going really well. Then something happened and I realized I was going to miss my goal. Then I went a downward spiral and I decided, today wasn't my day and I'll try again next year, right? Not Marie. She was able to reappraise the goals in the moment to say, yes, I'm not going to hit them. I can see the data now. I've got the information. I'm not going to hit my goal. Good. Let's let go of that and work on a new goal, right? That is mental toughness, right? That is mental flexibility and resilience and being able to change the way that you are approaching things on the fly. Adaptation is so much more important in ultra running than mental toughness, the way that we think about mental toughness. So it's about improving your mental skill set through doing the work that we're doing right now. That's mental toughness. Not just powering on through because that's what the word implies. I mean, my throat is getting dry again. So I hope that's making sense. That resilience is about being able to roll with something, like you're, doing some kind of martial art where you're not resisting it with brute force. You're rolling with the energy and you're like, yeah, I've now, this is happening in my race and then this is how I'm going to adapt. So I hope that makes sense. All right, we're coming to the end of this. I think I've covered all the stuff that I want to from all the reading that I've done. So back to Jenny. I hope this helps you when you're in that place of this hurts. I want to cry. I want to stop. I don't know why I came here. And then this is the chimp brain, right? So you're down the lower part of your brain. I'm not good enough. My time is up. I'm too old. I'm too weak. I'm too slow. Put in your not good enough sentence in there. I'm not blank enough, if that makes sense, that your chimp just throws at you as horrible ammunition to get you to stop. And then take one of these strategies and use it in the moment. It might be saying, yes, thank you, chimp. I know you're trying to help me, but I'm better than that and I'm better than you think I am. I've got more resources. Start to talk in the third person. You've been here before. You've done better. You can get through this. This is going to pass. Just break it down to the simple things. What do you need to change? What do you need to do that's going to make you feel better? What do I need to know about myself here? You can take on one of those alter egos. You can take on one of the self-talk strategies, zoning in on the pain, getting into the pain and understanding it more, and then having a strategy to move past it. Right. I hope it's all made sense. And like I said, if you get one thing out of this answer, that is awesome. And that's all you need. I'm so happy to bring all this stuff to you. And, and you say 90% of that, Rob, that was rubbish. But that one thing you said, that Matt Fitzgerald said, it's not the pain, it's my perception of it. I'm going to work with that. And that is how you become the master of your mindset. So have an awesome week. Thanks for that awesome question, Jenny. And see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Mindset for Runners podcast. I hope you got something practical and useful out of this podcast, or something inspiring to help you get out for your next run. If you have a question about Mindset for Runners or athletes in general, please email me at robmason.run@gmail.com and I'll answer your question on an upcoming podcast. And if there's anybody you know who could benefit from the information I share in this podcast, please share it with them. See you next time.